The next presenter is Julia Moravec. Julia attends Muscatine High School and lives in Muscatine. She is the daughter of John Moravec. The title of her project is Reach for the Stars.
Hello, my name is Julia Moravec, and this is Project Reach for the Stars. Former President Herbert Hoover skyrocketed himself forward in his life in a multitude of ways, through his political race, his humanitarianism, and most pertinently in his engineering career, through his drive for community work and his use of engineering knowledge. In a similar way, I will be helping the elementary students in my community by skyrocketing them forward in their education through the introduction of astronomy curriculum. More about this later, but first, let me give you some background. The goal of my project was to inspire and excite students to further their education in the growing STEAM fields. I'll explain what and how in a little bit, but first, STEAM. What is STEAM? For some of you that might not know, STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics, and is the principal program used nationwide to encourage students of all ages and all genders to take on careers and activities of those not categorized by the liberal arts. So STEAM, what's the problem and how is it applicable to my community? In the United States, math and science programs are growing ever more competitively, and young students should be able to be prepared to think more deeply and intuitively to become the next innovators, researchers, engineers, and most importantly, uncommon students in the upcoming centuries. Yet, not enough of our youth have access to quality STEAM programs, particularly in my community. Upon further research, I found, according to the United States Department of Education, the total number of STEAM-related jobs in the United States will increase by 14% over the course of the decade, a figure that is 5 to 8% higher on average than all other job sectors. Yet, only 36% of all high school grads are ready to take on college-level science courses, and U.S. universities are expected to produce only 29% of the required number of graduates for this sector. The bottom line here is that there is not enough STEAM graduates across all boards. As former President Herbert Hoover once stated, new discoveries in science will continue to create 1,000 new frontiers for those who would still adventure. Emphasizing on 1,000 new frontiers, we see Herbert Hoover create a warning for our future generation. To create a future of plentiful opportunities and pathways, we must invest in the future of our science program. In parallel, we need to create more STEAM programs, STEAM graduates to fill the growing opportunities founded in science. However, not only should we think about Herbert Hoover and the education that we instill for our future, but for the resources we are putting into it. As Herbert Hoover said, children are our most valuable natural resource, emphasizing that they are the key to our future. So thinking as an uncommon student, I thought to myself, what can I do to impact my future generations? I have a problem in STEAM and I have a goal, but what was I going to do and how was I going to do it? My first step was to look for the gap in my community as well as in my past. I started with my story, or my focus on STEAM began. As of now, I plan on attending a 4-year university to major in a STEAM principle, particularly in business. It is at this point I asked myself, what has gotten me to this point in my life where I myself wanted to be a STEAM graduate? I first thought to my high school career. Was it the PLTW courses I took, the business and engineering classes? No, it didn't start there. Then I thought to my middle school career. Was it the people I met? Was it the clubs that I got part of? It wasn't there either. Rather, my passion began from the things I did outside of school as a young age, the events I went to, the programs available at my local library I got to be a part of, and the hands-on experiences. It is these opportunities that allowed me to want to be a STEAM graduate today, and is the opportunities that I want future generations to have as well. This is where I thought to myself, how can I create this hands-on experience for the next generation of my future peers? This is where I thought of the STARS, and this is where Project Reach for the STARS comes into view. Looking back, I remember one particular event at my local library. Every year for a few consecutive years during my childhood, the local library, Munster Public Library, would bring in a large inflatable dome, as seen in the picture, to immerse ourselves into the stars in the night sky. It was these moments that starstruck me, almost quite literally. And I wanted to offer these same opportunities to the 2,100 K-5 students in my community. I wanted to fill the gap in my school district. Researching further into my community school district, I found the gap widen. As of today, there is no requirements for my community to offer astronomy curriculum within the K-5 district. The bottom line here is we're not giving an opportunity to explore the interest of astronomy to our younger generation. This astounded me, as astronomy is a key learning principle that can excite children and is a key core portion of STEAM. It was with this knowledge that I began my journey to introduce astronomy into my school's curriculum. Making a survey among my fellow peers, I hope to find students that saw this gap as well. I then interviewed 160 of my senior class peers to see if they saw this gap as well. It was unknown to me through this survey that I found an overwhelming support for my project. With 75% of my senior class seeing this gap, 96% of that 75% found that a change needed to be done, particularly through me. It was with this data I then went to my local assistant superintendent, Mr. Mike McGorry. Meeting with him in late July, I found a large support from my local community school district. Not only did they want me to affect the 1,200 students enrolled from K-5, they actually encouraged me to address our growing preschool population as well, to introduce the curriculum into their community. Furthermore, they ensured a $1,000 stake into my already highly expensive project of $46,500. Yes, that's right, $46,500 project. It was at this point, however, I hit a roadblock into my project. I knew raising $45,000 was going to be an arduous task, but what I learned is that my passions cost more than price. They cost logistics. The most important thing I learned from this project is that we must abide by the higher corporations in our world and follow their deadlines, submissions, as well as taxes and financial forms to be submitted into receiving grants. I finally recognized the struggles Herbert Hoover himself must have had when he was pushing his own policy through his presidency. It was at this point I went to my local director of learning and teaching, Mrs. Becky Witchers, to figure out a plan of action following the next coming years as to identify the submission dates as well as the implementation programs we needed to get this program introduced in the 2019 school year. This is where my project has led me thus far. Currently, my project has brought me to the point in the timeline, pinpointing two companies, the Carver Trust Foundation and the Community Foundation for Greater Muscatine. My team has successfully filed an application for the grants within the organization, where it will be reviewed and almost ensured an acceptance coming the next calendar year in January, as with prior connections to the organizations through excellence in education thus far. As of the 2019 school year, this program will be received and will be available to all teachers K-5. as they address the new scope starting the new school year, which will require the addition of astronomy into their curriculum. Having this opportunity available to them, they will be allowed to utilize the program as it offers 35 preset curriculum plans for the children to teach them about the stars, the earth, the traditions, as well as inspiring them in STEAM as it inspired me. After this year, the continuation of the project will be under the direction of Becky Witchers, our instructional coach director, following my graduation. In the end, I hope to blast off into a future of exploration, encouraging our youth to take a step forward into the career of STEAM, such that Herbert Hoover himself took, and to become the next future of uncommon students. Thank you.
So this $46,500 in grants that you're going after, is that to buy purchase curriculum? Can you clarify a little bit more what that money's for?
So the product itself includes the planetarium, and then also it's digitalized, so it's all the things are on the computer, which includes the projection system and stuff like that. So the money would be going into purchasing the product as well as the curriculum that comes with it, which is programmed into the digital.
Do you have plans for engaging with teachers, the K-5 teachers, as they're bringing on this new curriculum and getting them prepared to administer and teach that?
So the product will come in late April and later April, early June, probably around there. And at that point, we'll have lesson plan days where it will come as, like, the product itself comes with instructors, which then I will be involved with there, where I can engage with the teachers and help them teach the curriculum that needs to be learned, as well as how to set up, how to take down, how to do stuff like that. And beyond that point, Ms. Becky Witchers will continue on this and engaging with the teachers through that, through updating every yearly through their scopes and stuff like that.
Is it set up school year, the entire school year for the students, or how does that work?
So the product is inflatable, so it will be stored at our local school district. They have a storage area within our school district office, which I actually got to go see when I was at my meetings. And it will be available for checkout by the teacher's digression. So as they introduce new scopes coming this new school year, they can decide how many weeks they would like to spend on astronomy curriculum. So if they decide to spend 1 week, the likelihood of checking this out and inflating it up for the year or for the day will not be likely. But though if they spend 2 or 3 weeks on the curriculum itself, then you have a greater likely that they're going to come and utilize this engaging process.
How certain is the funding to purchase this for next year?
So when I was discussing with my local assistant superintendent, Mr. Mike McGrory, I had some hesitations going into this about the approval of the grants and stuff like this, but he assured me that there is actually a great likelihood that the money would come through, as we've had prior connections with both of the organizations before through our Excellence in Education program, as it also the program falls directly along their core values and lines and stuff like that. I've also been in contact with the company, or both corporations, and they both agree that it falls very much in line with what they're planning on doing. And then at that point, the purchasing of it and the continuation on it.
Julia, what was your biggest hurdle that you had to cross to get where you are today in this project?
And I was like,
Not your personal.
Okay. The greatest hurdle had to be logistics in general. A lot of it was communication, and as a senior, only a 12th grader at Muscatine High School, my voice isn't very well heard within a giant community like this. So making my voice heard within it was definitely one of the hardest challenges, which that meant going through my community school district, getting meetings with my assistant superintendent, getting meetings with the higher up people within my community.
Thank you. Thank you very much.